Hare Krishna. How are you doing, Krishnananda?
Doing well, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Nice.
I think that's my video. Yeah, there I am. Hi.
Hi. Let me search here the link to share with the WhatsApp group. Just a second, Prabhu.
Yeah,
Yeah, great. How was your week so far? Your mic is closed.
very busy. Staying very busy. Yeah. I decided to come to the meeting anyways, even though I'm tired and not feeling that well.
Hmm.
It's okay. I wanted to be in the association of devotees. Am I the only one here right now?
Currently, yes. I just shared the link on the WhatsApp group. More people will join soon.
Okay, great. Great.
Thank you so much for coming and for make the effort to make it happen. Your presence
Yeah,
really makes a difference, Prabhu.
thank you. I was reading at the beginning of Srila Charidev's comprehensive guide that he says there's different ways to read his book. I can't remember it exactly, but he said you can read it from beginning to end, or you could read the chapters first and then back at the beginning. However you do it is well for him. It's good. But I just wanted to say that without Prabhupada's purports and his Prabhupada's purports actually on this chapter that we're studying, I couldn't really understand what's going on in the Bhagavad-gita for chapter 6. I've been listening to a recorded version of Prabhupada as it is, and I listened to it twice to understand the purport. And I'm still trying to figure out what the chapter is about in detail. And I understand generally it's about Krishna consciousness is the highest truth in yoga. Yes. And Prabhupada keeps reiterating that fact. But his purports are brilliant, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Banu, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Uh, Krishnananda, yeah. For me, particularly, took me uh years to lots of reading to start to understand the chapter 6. And in any way, Srila Charadev wants to replace the amazing work that Srila Prabhupada had done, but just to bring in more contemporary words, right? In an updated language. Hey, Mangalarti, Hare Krishna. So for me, I totally understand that the chapter 6 can be very, how can I say, not so clear for people in general. I'm a yoga teacher, so for me it makes lots of sense. All the descriptions, all the verses, and like the yogi put the intention in the middle of the eyebrows and breathe in this or in that way. But I reckon that for most of the people, it's something that maybe won't make sense in the first reading. And that's why read together and even read alone, but share what you're reading with a group makes the difference, I guess. What do you all think?
About Jnana Yoga?
Yeah, because Krishnananda said that chapter 6, it's not so easy for him to understand. So he said that without Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad-gita, wouldn't be possible to understand the meaning.
Myself.
Honestly, I could use a refresher on Jnana Yoga. It's been a good amount of time since I really systematically studied the Bhagavad Gita. Um, so this whole course with you guys is a nice refresher.
I'm glad, I'm really glad.
I know that it's a lot more difficult than Bhakti Yoga, though. Um,
Well, there's much more requirements, and one needs to be much more focused. There is lots of rules and regulations, but there is different paths, right? Krishna says that one can uh, one can go through the challenge of this word through different paths. Like when we don't know an address and we put on in an app to navigate. There is many ways to reach the final destination, but back to yoga, it's the direct one according to Bhagavad Gita. Hey, Krishna Kala, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
So the chapter 6 is not so long. I thought that we could read together all the chapter and in the same way that we are doing, pause a little bit and discuss when you read something that you think it's meaningful or any doubt, any comment. What do you all think?
yeah, I like the program we've been following. It's pretty nice.
Cool. Thank you. I start to share here. Someone would like to read?
I could start. Um,
Thank you.
The Lord said, unattached to action's fruit, one who performs action as duty is the renouncer and the yogi, not the fireless or inactive. What they call renunciation, know to be yoga, Pandava, for no one becomes a yogi without renouncing selfish will. For a sage seeking to rise to yoga, action is said to be the means. Only for one raised to yoga, only for one raised to yoga is ceasing said to be the means. Surely, when one clings to neither the sense objects nor actions, giving up all selfish will, one is then said to have risen to yoga.
Would like to comment something? Someone would like to comment or share any doubt? Otherwise, we can just follow to the next paragraph.
I don't know, it's saying here, I guess, that once one's established in yoga already, um, then you can stop activity, but that kind of seems to contradict what we learn later in the Bhagavad Gita. If anyone has any comments on that, what's that, verse 2?
Are you with the database open, Bano?
Yeah, I have it over here.
Okay, would like to share your screen? I can
I
stop
don't
share here.
I have too many screens. I don't know how to do that.
Okay, no problem.
Um, yeah, text 2 says, what is called renunciation you should know to be the same as yoga or linking oneself with the supreme. O son of Pandu, For one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification. Oh, it's the next one. For one who is a neophyte in the Eightfold Yoga system, work is said to be the means. And for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means. But we know that's my confusion is we know that at least bhaktas who are firmly situated in yoga, I guess their material activities have ceased, but they definitely don't stop all activities, so it just seems kind of contradictory. Unless that's the
Uh,
point that they no longer have material activities.
Yeah, that's the point. The point is you give up the self. You're doing it for
Yeah.
Krishna, so you're not really actually creating action.
Okay,
By
so
by doing bhakti, you're not creating action. I mean, you
yeah,
have to do, right? But it's karma yoga versus bhakti yoga, right? Karma yoga is that by doing action, this is how you can rise above it. But by bhakti, we serve, and then we give up all the results of the action because we're just serving Krishna.
yeah, I guess material here is the operative term, not activities. Wow.
from my understanding, try to give an example here to try to illustrate this. In Bhakti Yoga, we try to feel our senses with Krishna, right? Seeing the image, the picture of the deity, being in front of the deity, trying to meditate in the form, the rupa of Krishna, while in other conventional yogas, you try to cease, you try to stop your thoughts and try to concentrate in your breathing. But even though if you're concentrating in your breathing, you're thinking about your breathing, right? So it's not possible to cease all your thoughts, to cease your mind totally. And on the third verse, surely when one clings to neither sense objects nor actions, giving up all selfish will, one is then said to have risen to yoga, which one of the meanings of yoga is huge, right? The roots in Sanskrit, that's union. So if it's union, how can this union be separation? Maybe that's what you said that is contradictory or not.
But how can this union be what?
How can this union be separation? Because if the root of yoga it's union, union with all living beings, why yoga will be seizing all the senses, trying to pause all the senses instead of try to connect all your senses with the source of everything. I don't know if I confuse more than try to explain what I understand by these verses that we've read.
Yeah, it doesn't say he stops acting. He just says he stops acting for the sake of sense gratification and fruitive activities.
Yeah. Who would like to continue reading?
I can read the next paragraph. So,
Yeah.
says one should uplift self by self. One should not degrade self. Indeed, self alone is self's friend. Self alone is self's foe. Self is friend to that self whom self alone is conquered. But that very self can work as an enemy due to non-self's enmity. For the peaceful who conquer self higher self is fully established. In cold and heat, joy and sorrow, and so too in honor and dishonor.
Just open here the note for higher self. The Lord dwelling in everyone's heart. Having conquered the mind, one reaches the Lord in the heart. And there is one here for empty that I think it will be interesting for us to read also. The Dance English closely reflects the Sanskrit. The Gita here gives a quite existential doctrine. We must take responsibility for ourselves. The self alone is friend or enemy of oneself. The empty of non-self refers to a false ego or material bodily self, an illusory identity that works against the eternal soul's ultimate interest. Any thoughts?
Yeah, this is just basically saying, your mind is is either your friend or your enemy. Just depends on how you deal with it. If you conquer it, you're in good shape. If not, that's right. It says, self is friend to the self, by whom self alone is conquered. So yeah, you're your own best friend if you can conquer yourself. Otherwise, you're your own best enemy.
Indeed, can be the source of problems or solutions, right?
Yeah, and fully established in cold and heat, joy and sorrow, and so too in honor and dishonor. So it's saying, if you want peace, you have to become equal poised. You can't have, worry about hot and cold, and joy and sorrow, and honor and dishonor, and all these dualities. Once you conquer the self, these aren't a problem.
And this is so important, right? Because if you're not feeling good with yourself, if you don't make peace with your mind, how can you live life fully? It's impossible. A soul content with knowledge and wisdom, who stands at the peak with senses conquered, is said to be linked, a yogi for whom clay, stone, and gold are equal. Still better is one with equal reason among the kind-hearted friends, fools, abstainers, mediators, the odious and kindred. I don't know how to say this, folks.
Kindred.
Kindred, thank you. And even among saints and sinners. Imagine being so self-realized that you just don't do distinctions anymore, right? Being in the stage of see everyone as a spiritual soul without judging, without trying to divide instead of congregate would be amazing.
Yeah. It's all about being equal poised. Get back to that thing, you only know happiness because of sorrow, and you only know sorrow because of happiness. Keep ping ponging back and forth, whereas you can just understand it's all equal, and then you can just stay in this content state in the middle.
Yeah. Who would like to continue reading? Someone?
All
I
right.
can try.
Oh,
Like
go. Go ahead.
Alone, secluded, self and mind restrained, not covetous or possessive, a yogi must always link self and yoga. In a pure place, sitting not too high or low on one's firm seat, layered with cloth, antelope skin, and kusha grass, sitting there, making mind single pointed, thoughts and sense activities restrained, one should practice yoga for self purification. Steady and unmoving, keeping body, head, and neck aligned, focused on the very tip of one nose, not staring in any direction, self-calm, fear gone, chastity vow firm, thoughts in me, controlling the mind. One should stay linked in yoga, dedicated to me. Thus constantly linking self, a yogi of disciplined mind attains nirvana, the highest peace which abides in me.
Well, this for me, it's so it's like I don't know. I practice yoga every day, basically 6 days per week, and I practice Ashtanga, which is the practice that Krishna does a comparison on the sixth chapter, right? Ashtanga, that is the most traditional one with bhakti. And all the time you're really trying to keep body, head, and well, not every time, and not every time you are trying to uh, keep your drishti, your focus on the tip of your nose, but most of the postures, most of the asanas, you're trying to do this. Plus, contracting, working with some contractions of specific areas of your body, and doing lots of exercise of strength and flexibility. And it's hard work. It's really hard work. Like it's not all love and light at all. Maybe at the end of your practice, when you're resting, you can try to breathe and say, oh, okay, it's gone. But when you are there, sweating and trying to do all those asanas, Krishna, it's not all gratitude at all. And you work with purification in so many levels and all senses together. And at the same time, trying to restrain your mind from all thoughts that can deviate you from your asanas, your breathing, your bodily contractions. And here, Krishna is given a much more simple way, right? In Krishna consciousness, there is no such a thing. You don't need to uh, fast before practice or practice with an empty stomach. You don't have rules and regulations like days that you practice, days that you cannot practice at all because it's the peak of the moon, or things like this. Or for those who have menstrual cycles, days that you cannot practice. It's much more detailed than bhakti. So in this way, bhakti is much more democratic.
Mm.
Even knowing that an asanas practice you can adapt to all types of body and can be for everyone, it's a totally different mindset. Who would like to continue reading?
I'll read. Yet yoga does not happen for one who overeats or solely fasts, nor for one who habitually sleeps too much or simply stays awake. But sorrow-ending yoga does occur for one in whose actions there is proper eating and recreation, proper effort, proper sleeping and wakefulness. When the strictly controlled mind abides in self alone, not pursuing any selfish wish, then one is said to be linked in yoga. A yogi of controlled mind practicing yoga of self is compared to a windscreen lamp that does not flicker. Yeah, so we're still back down. This is old school yoga. Well, the eightfold system. This is what, when you talk about yoga class, this is where people are attempting, and it's very difficult. I mean, and especially
Yeah.
as we get old, I can tell you these things. You see devotees just trying to sit on the floor properly, and they're old, and it's like legs aren't folding up right anymore, you know.
What's the asana that's usually at the end where you just lie flat on your back and kind of relax?
Shavasana.
Yeah, that's a nice one. That's always my favorite.
That's always my favorite. And for
Lie down.
all yoga practitioner, that's the number one always.
Yeah, I can do that one. It's really, it's right up my alley.
Yeah,
You
we're
know, we
very
do
lucky to
this
have bhakti.
joke. Sorry, what is that, Mangalarti?
I just said we're very lucky to have bhakti.
We're very lucky to have Bhakti for sure. Uh, I was just at that. Shavasana is the favorite one for everyone, but even that looks easy. It's not because Shavasana is the last one. So even that you are laid down and you're trying to calm your senses internally, you are learning to let it go. Let it go your attachments, let it go your ego, let it go what you think you achieved minutes ago. So doesn't look so deep, but can be really deep. And it's like Mangalarti said, it's are two different paths, very differently, right? Very different.
Yeah, I used to just lay there and chant in my mind. Like, okay, this I can do.
That in which mind grows quiet, held fast by yoga practice, in which one is content by seeing self in self by self. Ooh. Let me open this note because I'm confused right now. Seeing self and self by self. By practicing yoga, one sees oneself as part of the supreme self within. In which one knows endless joy beyond the senses, a joy acceptable to reason, where once standing, one does not move from truth, and gain in which one realizes there is no greater gain, standing in which one is not deviated even by heavy sorrow. That is called yoga, the unlinking of the sorrow link. One is meant to practice yoga with conviction and unscouraged mind. This reminds me of a Beatles song. I think it's Strawberry Fields Forever that they sing pose of sorrow, waves of joy, right? So what's the difference, right? When one is really in the platform of yoga, you are equipoise like Mangalarti share. You are far beyond these dualities.
More than just equipoise, Prabhupada translates it as in that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. That sounds pretty nice.
Imagine yourself attaining this platform. Amazing.
Samadhi.
Wholly forsaking all selfish desires, born of will, and regulating the set of senses by mind alone, one must gradually come to stillness through reason held with resolve. Fixing mind firmly in self, one should reflect on nothing else. And from whatever the unsteady fickle mind wanders, one should pull it back, bringing it under control of self alone. Yeah.
Japa.
Japa, yes. Yeah. Only one more. Like, okay, I would chant only this Maha mantra, fully concentrated. And then when we finish, okay, just one more and just one more until your mind like establish, right? Establish. It's the
I've
same
done
with
it once.
asana. What?
I've done it once in my life. I actually chanted all 16 rounds and never gave up or broke. It's never happened. I'm not even close. I don't know what happened. One morning I got up. I used to get up and it was dark and I sit in the living room and I'm like, today I'm going to do it. I don't care. I just got into this fight and I'm going to chant these rounds. I'm going to focus on the name the entire time. For 2 hours, I sat there and I've never been able to repeat, not even close. I don't know what happened that day, but it was a very special day for me. And yeah, but yeah, it's so difficult. Now it's like not even close.
Yeah, I've had this image in my head that I've entertained for a while, and it's of like on a really old ship, like you know, a 16th or 17th century ship. And I guess they had this anchor, and the anchor must have been attached to a really large chain. Um
Mhm.
like one of these naval chains where each rung is, bigger than your head. And I imagine myself just trying to pull that chain up back onto the boat like one link at a time. And it's this Herculean effort. And but they're actually just individual japa beads. And so it's sometimes chanting can just like, the holy names just dance off your tongue and it's this wonderful experience, but sometimes it does feel like this task of like, ooh, one and then the next link in the chain, and it just takes a while.
Yeah, we all have our days, right? Some days our japa meditation is better than others, but keep practicing. That's the power of sadhana, right? That's the power of try to strengthen your relationship with Krishna. Yeah, for me, I like to imagine that when I'm holding my beads, I'm holding Krishna's hand, and I cannot go through this path alone, but with the help of Krishna, it's possible. So this is an analogy that I try to think when my mind is very agitated. Let me back to share here. Oops. It's
Well,
the
just
bit that
something
I
else that I was thinking of. We're talking about these difficulties in Dhyana yoga, and in their relation to bhakti. I've been listening to this bhajan by Bhakti Vinod a lot lately, Oye Vaishnav Thakur. And in one of the verses there, even Bhakti Vinod, he's crying out. It's so sad. He's expressing like he says, I don't have the strength to carry on the Sankirtan. And he's praying to the Vaishnavas, just to give him a little drop of faith or something like that. And so it's, even like these powerhouses of bhakti, they kind of have this feeling sometimes like I don't have the strength to carry on the Sankirtan. And it's, of course, their feelings are probably a little bit different than mine, but it's a nice reflection.
it's a really nice reflection. Thank you for sharing. And if you like to share the version that you were listening on the group, on the WhatsApp group, please share, Prabhu, because it's always to listen again, this to refresh or
Yeah, it's on YouTube, and it's such a nice recording. I've been listening to it nonstop. Sometimes at work, I can have a little Bluetooth speaker going at work, and so for like 4 hours at a time, I was just listening to this bhajan, and yeah, I'll share it.
yeah, it's a beautiful one. Beautiful one. Let me back to share here. Who would like to continue reading?
Where were we?
I think ultimate joy. Is this? Yeah.
Ultimate joy comes to a yogi of contented mind and subdued passion, who abstains from impurity, having joined Brahman. Thus, a yogi, free of impurity and always linking self, joyfully attains endless joy by full contact with Brahman. With equal vision everywhere, the yogi linked self sees self in all creatures and all creatures in self. To one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am not lost, nor is that person lost to me. The yogi is one who abides in unity and honors me in all creatures. However living, that yogi lives in me. By self-comparison, one who sees everywhere equally in joy or sorrow is respected as the highest yogi, Arjuna. I would love to hear anyone's comments on that. That's a nice little passage. I was kind of thinking about how you said, like, when you're chanting japa, just imagining that Krishna's hand is in the beads, just wherever you are, if you can see Krishna there, then that's it. That's
Yeah.
that's the whole thing.
So
Yeah.
this is Mitra. He's
Hare
here visiting
Krishna.
me for a week.
Krishna. That so let's see. I guess that's a series of verses. Sorry, I was on another call and now I'm jumping in late. But that last sentence, by self-comparison, one who see every equally in joy or sorrow is respected as the highest yogi, Arjun. It doesn't really come across so clearly in this translation or in Prabhupada's translation. But what's implied is when he sees others people's sorrow or happiness, he sees it equally as his own. Like if someone is sad, he feels sad about that. And the former president of the United States, Bill Clinton, he brought that verse up in one of his lectures years ago. Um, Somewhere I'd heard that, so somebody could look that one up to clarify it, to confirm it. But he brought that up and saying this is an evolved person. They see others' happiness or sadness as their own. So that's part of the unified Brahman conception. You see everyone as same as yourself. And there's Donna Kelly getting in on this call too. She just jumped off of our last call.
Hey, welcome, Dina.
She goes everywhere. Yeah, we call her Donna Kelly. I mean, look at it, Dana K. It was obvious.
Sorry po.
Okay, that's what I've got to say.
Well, actually, I'm remembering a relevant purport. I'm trying to find it. Hopefully, I can before we get too far ahead. Um,
While you were searching, Bennu, I would like to share a thought. I visited Alatra Temple days ago for the first time, and while I was looking to Krishna and all that beautiful temple and all the flowers, wow, I don't know. I probably Bennu has been there because Bennu lived in Krishna House, right? That is in
yeah,
Gainesville.
yeah, I love the Electro Temple. Those deities are so sweet.
So sweet. I don't know if any one of you all have been there also, but wow, what a place to go. There is a beautiful garden made by the devotees with flowers, and the flowers are disposed they are arranged, they are all put it together by color combinations and size in a way that this will make it easier to pick the flowers to put on the altar with the colors that they are planning for the day. I thought it's so brilliant, so brilliant. And I was thinking in all this variety, right? Because in these verses we read that the yogi tried to see Krishna in all the creation and all the variety. And I was looking through these deities and meditating in all the variety that me in my insignificance know that it's possible, and how many other species of life are possible also with Paramatma inside that we don't even remember, that we have no idea, right? So it's fantastic. It's fantastic. This is one of my favorite parts of the Gita.
I found this purport and I'm always looking for an excuse to talk about this verse because it's I don't know, it's nice. But it was in reference to that verse 32 where the yogi he sees the equality of all beings and their happiness and distress. And Acharya Dave wrote in this purport to a verse in the 11th canto. He said, "In fact, everyone is suffering the pangs of separation from Krishna. Because the conditioned soul imagines that he has no eternal relationship with Krishna, he is unable to ascertain that all of his miseries are due to this separation. This is Maya, or that which is not. Actually, to think that misery arises from anything other than separation from Krishna is to be an illusion. So when a pure devotee sees living entities suffering within this world, he correctly feels that just as he is suffering because of separation from Krishna, all other living beings are also suffering from separation from Krishna. The difference is that a pure devotee correctly ascertains the cause of his heartbreak, whereas the conditioned soul, bewildered by Maya, is unable to understand his eternal relationship with Krishna and the unlimited pain arising from the neglect of that relationship. And I just like thinking about that verse a lot because it's easy to think that I'm unhappy because my car is broken down or my house fell over or something like this. But if we weren't in that moment separated from Krishna, we wouldn't be unhappy. Our house could burst into flames, and if we feel Krishna in our hearts, we'll be blissful. It won't be a problem at all. It's a house, whatever. Um, But I don't know, the text 32 really reminded me of that purport because he sees the equality of all beings, primarily that all beings have a relationship with Krishna. Um, so yeah, I really like that purport.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, many people relate that in challenge times they can approach more their relationship with the Supreme, right? So I think that it's kind of like this purport that you just read. Let me back to share here. Who would like to continue reading?
Oh, okay. You can if you want. Starting at Arjuna. Arjuna said, "This yoga with equality that you teach does not seem an enduring state due to unsteadiness, Madhusudan. For the mind truly is unsteady, stormy, strong, and stubborn, Krishna. It seems harder to restrain than the wind." How much do I read?
Read another one, probably,
The Lord said, "Doubtless, great armed, the mind is on the move, hard to hold fast, but one catches it with practice and dispassion, Kaunteya. I think it hard for an undisciplined soul to achieve yoga, but a controlled, striving soul is able to attain it by right means."
Would you like to comment something about what you've read? Maybe something that highlighted for you, or an example, something that you can relate?
Yeah, there's so much here. Each sentence you could just go deep in there. This yoga with equality that you teach does not seem an enduring state due to unsteadiness. Equality, looking at everything equally. Prabhupada talks about that, like you may artificially get this idea of universal brotherhood toward everyone. Um, you might hold it for a minute, but it doesn't stay. Um, that's just the first sentence. I'm going to go through each of them because there's just so much in there. Um, Oh, we got the book here. Okay, that'll help, but
I
I
I
don't have it.
I beg to share. Sorry.
Yeah. Due to unsteadiness. Okay, maybe some great yogi can actually do that, achieve some level of Brahman, but artificially, you can't force yourself to do that. Uh, for the mind is truly unsteady, stormy, strong, and stubborn, harder to restrain than the wind. And then the next part is real comforting. Krishna says, doubtless. Yeah, no doubt. You're right. I agree with you. So it's like when you're counseling someone and they say, I've got this problem, it's insurmountable. And so you kind of go with them and say, well, yeah, I agree. It is very difficult. Yes, you are going through a very hard time. And then he says, but I agree with you, but, and then he says, it is possible with, uh, let's see, what's the Sanskrit for that? Practice and dispassion. Detachment is the way Prabhupada translates it. Dispassion, that's kind of detachment. And practice. What's the word for practice? Um, Everybody from India knows that word because it's still in use in Hindi. Um, does anybody know offhand? Anybody have it handy? Any
I can
geeks?
search here on Veda base. What verse would you like to first to let me share here?
Abhyasena, Abhyasena,
Abhyasena, yeah.
Abhyasena.
Abhyas. Abhyas means practice.
Yeah.
Abhyas. That word is also used in chapter 8, Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena Chetasa Anyagamina. So whatever you think of at the time of death, that's where you go in the next body. And so he says, therefore, practice this abhyas of always thinking of me. So he says, with practice and with dispassion. So we're practicing to fix our mind on this. Well, here he's just saying this, what is it? Of equality, looking at all situations equally, the Brahman state. So he's conceding, yes, it is difficult, but it is possible with practice. And so that's helpful for us. There is a procedure. You're not expected to get there right away, but practice it bit by bit. And then he goes on, I think it hard for an undisciplined soul to achieve yoga. Prabhupada uses the word unbridled. If the mind is unbridled, certainly, let's see, if the mind is unbridled, but certainly if one practices, strives by right means, one is assured of success. The striving soul is able to attain it by right means. Yeah, it's just same thing, unbridled. And people that know horses know what a bridle is. I always have to stop and pause, like, anybody know what a bridle is? Anybody here not know what a bridle is?
Is that the thing that goes in the mouth?
That's the bit that goes in the
Yeah.
mouth. The bridle goes around the head and it gives you
Okay.
something to hold on to grab that horse and pull it this way or this way.
Tell them which way to point their face.
Gives you some control. And if something is unbridled, you got unbridled passions, like your
Uncontrolled.
yeah, your
Can't see it.
passions are just going. You got no way of grabbing them and saying, no, we're going this way. So certainly for one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work. All right, that's what I got.
Thank you so much. Yeah, this makes me think about the importance of abhyas and vairagya, right? Have detachment also.
Oh, yeah, yeah, dispassion. And also, so often when we go into it, we just feel like, I can never do this. And because we're going to fail at every step. And so detachment is there, like not letting that bother us. Okay, I didn't do it. I'm going to keep trying. And you just keep going. You may have heard this. If you're hitting your target with every shot, you're either standing too close or your target is too big. Um, so we've got this really narrow target and it's just so far away. And yeah, we just keep shooting at it and um, just keep going at it with dispassion. Yes, it's impossible, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah, this is very powerful. My spiritual master always says that a spiritual life is not supposed to be chill. Sure that there are moments that you feel more uh, glad with your sadhana, but it's not necessarily to make one feel comfortable. Actually, it's the opposite. Because if you are doing the work, you face your shadows. If you're facing your shadows, you face uncomfortable feelings. You will discover your anarthas. You start to observe some patterns that you don't like it. And if you really are having a spiritual life, you have lots of work to do trying to be a better person.
Facing your shadow. What does that mean?
A little Jungian.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a Jungian concept of psychology that we all have light and shadow. We all have um, some great qualities, let's say like this, but also we have some characteristics. I don't want to put as defects, characteristics that we don't like or that are not the best for us to achieve Krishna consciousness, right? Some challenge. So this can be the meaning of or shadows. I don't know if make it clear, Prabhu.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a deep concept to understand that. Because usually Prabhupada says if you're facing Krishna, you won't see your shadow. But
Facing Krishna is the difficulty.
yeah,
So,
yeah, well, Prabhupada makes it so simple. He's just like, yeah, just face Krishna. What's wrong with you? He's over here. Look this way. He just really simplifies it. It's just brilliant the way he'll take long, difficult passages and then just say, face Krishna, and you'll never see your shadow. And but yeah, I think I follow what you're talking about. We need to examine our dark side also and deal with those ghosts in the closet. But Prabhupada is more like, don't worry about it. Just look at Krishna. All that stuff's going to take care of itself. And both things are true. And if we neglect the dark stuff, sometimes, yeah, that creates problems. But sometimes if that's all you do is dwell on that, you're not going to get anywhere. Uh, and that's our tendency is to always dwell on that darkness. And then that's part of the dispassion. Yeah, I've got all these dark things, but I'm not going to dwell on them. I'm just going to, here's my goal, and I'm going to keep going. But yet, we've also seen an imbalance there. Some devotees are carrying things that really need professional help. Um, and they're, no, I'm just going to chant. And you need to clear away some of that stuff. So another one of those paradoxes. Look at Krishna, don't, and you'll never see your shadow, but also look at your shadow a little bit and deal with that, but don't overdo it. Side by side to both. Abhyasena, Abhyasena, and what was the next word? I think Vairagyena, or what's the other word used?
I was about to say Varagya, but I'm not sure if it's that this one that you want to. let me back here to share the screen.
Well, in the Sanskrit, it's something about undoubtedly. The first word is undoubtedly. Have a Gita handy? Yeah. Where Krishna's agreeing, like, yes, there is no doubt. Oh, look at this. Wow, we got this rusty. Wow, it's even got a burn mark there. It's like the old
Well, that's when I almost burnt down the New Orleans temple.
pirate treasure map here.
We
I
almost
was
lost the New
curious to
Orleans
know the
temple over
story
that
about the
one.
burn. I'm glad that Mangalarti share with everyone before we ask.
What was that? I'm sorry.
I'm glad that you shared this story of this burn before we ask, because I bet that everyone here was curious to know this story.
Here we go. It's 35, text 35. Sri Bhagavanuvacha, Asangshayam Mahabaho. So Asangshaya, certainly, without doubt, Mahabaho, Arjun. Mano Durnigraham Chalam. The mind is really difficult to control. Chalam, uh, restless. Abhyasena tu kaunteya, vairagyena chagrihate. So yes, abhyas and vairagya. So both things are there. We make the practice and we're also detached from, we got to cut ourselves off from that shadow. Sometimes to cut ourselves off from the shadow, we've got to do a little intentional practice, a little snipping.
Well, these kind of I would just to keep going with the shadow analogy, like like the first step that a lot of addicts take and their little blue book courses is surrender to a higher power. A lot of times these material impediments they're insurmountable. Um, and it can actually be a really strong impetus for people to turn towards God. Like this dilemma I'm facing, this internal something or other, it's just unconquerable. I can't live this way anymore. And then uh, a lot of times people wind up reaching towards that higher power and trying to find God in this situation just because of this supposed impediment, you know. It can be really helpful for people on their path to Krishna. I think if the problem is serious enough. Um,
Hmm. Yeah, and sometimes the problem is an impetus. Oh, yeah.
Well, very important points that we all share here. Um, I know that it's almost on your limit of time, but there is only a few verses. If you all agree, we can just finish this chapter. H3ST, welcome. Um,
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
I could continue. Arjuna said, Krishna, what is the fate of a faithful person whose mind deviates from yoga, who stops striving, not achieving yoga perfection? Baffled on the spiritual path, both ways lost, with no foundation, does not one perish like a rent cloud? This is my doubt, Krishna. You ought to fully dispel it. Apart from you, surely there is no other dispeller of this doubt. Um, The Lord said, Partha, never in this life or the next is that person ruined. Dear friend, surely no doer of good meets a bad fate. After reaching the worlds of right doers and dwelling there for a myriad of years, one fallen from yoga takes birth in a pure and prosperous home, or else one is born in a family of wise yogis. Surely in this world such a birth is much harder to achieve. Therein one reconnects to past life's understanding, and then strives on for perfection, Kuru child. By that former practice alone, one is inevitably brought back. Seeking to know about yoga, one surpasses word Brahman. Striving with real effort, fully cleansed of impurities, and perfected after several lives, the yogi achieves the highest state. A yogi surpasses ascetics and is even held to surpass the learned. A yogi surpasses ritualists. Therefore, be a yogi, Arjuna. And of all yogis, I consider as the most linked in yoga one whose inner self has gone to me, who faithfully reveres me. Um, I really like this passage, but it's also it's concerning for me because I share Arjuna's question here in a big way. Even speaking in bhakti yoga, like I have enough desire to achieve success in bhakti to still be trying it. But there's this thought in the back of my mind of like, oh, what if I don't get there? And Krishna reassures them that, well, don't worry, you can just pick it up again next time. It's never lost or anything like that. Um, but then that means that I'll have to take birth again and keep doing this whole thing over and over again, and that doesn't feel good either. So it's, Krishna says, don't worry, just keep on trucking, and that could be a long road, and it's frightening to think about sometimes.
No, I just need to sneeze. Yeah, I like this point. One who does good. How can by doing something good you get a bad result? And this is, and the Sanskrit is uh, tata, and he addresses Arjuna as tata, which means like like my dear son, like you're that's something you say to like a little boy, my dear son, tata, my darling. Let's see, and Durgatam tata gacchati. Um, Nahi kalyana krit kaschit. So kalyana means something auspicious, krit, doing. Nahi kalyana krit kaschit. Durgatam. Durgatam means something not good. So by doing something kalyana, how can you expect something durgatam as the result? Tata. Nahi kalyana krit kaschit durgatam tata gacchati. Uh, so he's just like really comforting him. And then he says, um, there's all these great people I've described already, the yogis and the tapasvis, tapasvinam, yoginam, the learned people, and the yogi is better than all of them. And then out of all of the yogis, the one that loves me is is the best. That is my opinion. And then that introduces chapter 7 and the middle section of the Bhagavad Gita, the three, let's see, Bhagavad Gita, 18 chapters divided by three. So you got the first 6 chapters, which is about us and our situation. And then middle 6, Krishna starts talking about himself. And then the last 6 is kind of a synthesis, how we work together. To the middle 6, he starts off saying, now I'm going to teach you how to do yoga by thinking of me. And that's how chapter 7 begins. At the end of chapter 6, he's saying, of all yogis, this is the best one. Now I'm going to teach you how to do that kind of yoga. And the whole tone of Bhagavad Gita changes. A lot of, well, let's see, what was his name? The famous guru. He only translated up to the end of, he translated this first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. Couldn't touch bhakti. Was it Yogananda? I tried reading some of his Bhagavad Gita commentary. It's really, I mean, the guy, there really is something to him. And it was so deep. I'm kind of a geek on this stuff, but I was like, wow, this guy's really going deep into all this Brahman stuff. Um, but that's as far as he could get. He wouldn't touch. And a good thing too. Those people have no business in there. Okay, I don't want to dominate your whole discussion here.
No, not at all, Prabhu. Not at all. I'm really glad with your contributions. I think that all the group also, please. Banu, about what you bring, about what you share. Well, Krishna gave us the guarantee, right? Krishna gave us the guarantee of devotional service, and that if you follow the four principles and chant your rounds, you back to me. So this is not me, but this is what Krishna says to Arjun, right?
Yeah, like we
Um,
know that in the future this will be resolved, but it can feel almost like if there's been some accident and you need to go to the hospital, there's this intermediary period where you're just in distress in an ambulance, and you know you're going to a place and they'll be able to fix the problem, and you know that soon you will feel better, but in the meantime, you know that there is this intermediate period which you will have to not endure, but um it'll be a little minute before it's actually all better. And so that can be, yeah, Krishna says, don't worry, eventually you're gonna get to me. It's like, don't even worry about it, but I will worry about it. I can't help it. Um, I wish I could just teleport from the scene of the accident to the hospital.
Mm. That intermediate period. There we
Yeah,
are.
it's like I'm in the waiting room, and it can be stressful.
Mhm. It's pretty dramatic. Okay, happy intermediate period to everybody here.
Yeah.
Um, but actually, the drama and that's kind of cool. That's what makes life so rich. Am I going to make it? Am I gonna get there? You know, that ride to the hospital. That's like really your life is flashing before. It's never happened to me. I'm just kind of thinking what it must be like. Like,
Do you have any input there, Mangalarti?
What's that?
They said, do you have any input there?
Well, I didn't take an ambulance ride. I definitely have sat there in the hospital
yeah.
thinking, yeah, we may be leaving any moment. Definitely change your perspective.
Yeah,
Uh,
help is on the way, and just being comfortable in that position, I guess it requires a great deal of faith in Krishna, and I guess already to an extent a pre-existing relationship. Like there has to be a trust there already, and I guess Arjuna was able to really hear Krishna's word because they were wonderful friends. They had this deep relationship that was alive. So it was his really great fortune, I guess, that he already had this relationship with Krishna. It's a lot easier to hear Bhagavad-gita when you're in that relationship.
well, when I was in the hospital, so I don't know how many of you know this, but I got two stents put in when I was down in Mississippi. And the day of because you talking about this, helps there. So the day that I was actually having the procedure done, um, I got out of bed early in the morning and I went just to close the curtains, like 5 feet away. And that made my whole chest hurt. And I knew I was on the verge. I mean, just so close to having a heart attack that I just like, okay, you just have to get to 3 o'clock. I went and I just laid in bed and I chanted for the next 4 hours. So that's, just like, I just have to, like you're saying, I have to get to this certain point, but there's no guarantee I'm getting there, where I can get this help. So when you get there, you just surrender to Krishna and, focus on him. And that's what I did. Let it be what it be. And I'm here and I'm fine. So, yeah. You just got to put your focus in the right place and let Christian take care of the rest. He says we're supposed to do what we can do, and he'll take care of the rest. Right? He's saying, "Let me do the heavy lifting. You do all you can. Whatever you can't, I'll take care of it." So that's where I was. I should memorize that verse. I talk about it all the time. I don't know what it is. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, one more time.
Where Krishna he says, that we have to act. We don't get the fruit of the act, and it's he's our strength, and whatever we can't do, he'll carry the rest.
Oh,
Do you know what I'm talking about?
yeah. Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. Chapter 9, text 22. Vijana Paryupashate Tesham Nityadi Yuktanam Yoga Kshemam Mahamyaham. Oh,
At 9:22, you said, Prabhu?
922, yeah. It's in there. It's not real apparent at first reading, but well, yeah, maybe it is.
Yeah, here they
Go
go.
ahead,
I
read
carry
it.
okay. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and preserve what they have.
Bring you what you need. I take care of what you got.
Right. So, yeah.
Oh, maybe read the purport.
If we worship him with exclusive devotion.
Yeah, because it was talking about mixed devotion, worshiping demigods, but if you're just only on me, ananyas is the word. Anya means others, ananya means without any other thing. Ananyas chintayanto mam, always thinking of me and nothing else. So that's exclusive. Ananya, having no other object, chintayanta, concentrating, mam, on me. Ye jana, those people, paryapashate. So purport's so brief. I think Mangalartik should read this purport, and his hairs, whatever hairs he has left, they're going to stand on end.
Do we have time for this? Y'all good?
It's quick.
I think so. I think it's okay. What do you all think? I would like to. Yeah.
One who is unable to live for a moment without Krishna consciousness cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours a day. Being engaged in devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshiping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendship, and surrendering fully to the Lord. Such activities are all auspicious and full of spiritual potencies, which make the devotee perfect in self-realization. So that his only desire is to achieve the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee undoubtedly approaches the Lord without difficulty. This is called yoga. By the mercy of the Lord, such a devotee never comes back to this material condition of life.
Shema.
Kshema refers to the merciful protection of the Lord. The Lord helps the devotees to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga. And when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down to a miserable condition of life.
Oh man, I want someone to read that to me when I'm laying there dying. It's so comforting.
Yeah, the trick here is you got to surrender. You know.
Yeah, we need to do our work and let Krishna do the rest, right? But for this, we need to trust. We need to let it go. We need attachment. And this is the difficult part, at least for me. Cannot say by everyone, but for me, this is the thing, to trust, right? To surrender, to really surrender.
Yeah, I'm working on it. That's all I can say. I'm working on it. Every day is a new day.
Abhyas. We're practicing.
Yeah. Yeah, a great reflection for start the week, right? All right. So, sorry, please, Prabhu, go ahead.
When I was building a house, I hired a guy to build the foundation. And I said, I know you're going to do a good job because everyone says you do good work. And he said, well, just like those doctors, they got a sign on their wall. They've got a license to practice medicine. They're only practicing. I'm only practicing. So that's what we're doing. We're just practicing. We've got a license to practice bhakti. And we're only practicing. So even the doctors only practicing. Lawyers practicing law.
Yeah. We're practicing bhakti.
It does kind of get easier over time too, just because other things become less and less pleasurable. Like Like I was just going through Chaitanya Charitamrita the other day, and one of the first verses says, "Oh, my merciful Lord Chaitanya, may the nectarian Ganges waters of your transcendental activities flow on the surface of my desert-like tongue." And I don't know, it's conversations about Krishna, Bhagavad-gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and all this. They're satisfying in a way that other things aren't. And I don't know. I go through most of my week working and doing less than transcendental stuff, but it makes moments where I can get around devotees and talk about Krishna even more satisfying because my tongue has become so parched from not talking about Krishna for so long, you know. And so it becomes more and more invigorating over time. It's really nice.
Oh, were you talking about that verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita?
Yeah, it's Adi Tutu.
Yeah,
It's
it's
right up
really
there near
good.
the beginning. Um, but it's nice. The imagery in Chaitanya Charitamrita is really
It
good.
goes into details like um, a river and it's got lotus flowers
It
and
goes
stuff.
on to say, beautifying these waters are the lotus flowers of singing, dancing, and loud chanting of Krishna's holy name, which are the pleasure abodes of unalloyed devotees. The pleasure abodes. These devotees are compared to the swans, ducks, and bees. The river's flowing produces a melodious sound that gladdens their ears. And so I guess that's another benefit of this material world is because our tongues and our ears get parched. And then when we can actually hear about Krishna, it's just like, oh boy, it's the
That's
thing.
our
It's the
pleasure
thing.
abode.
But yeah, that's just a really nice verse. The pleasure abodes of the devotees. You know, it's like where they come for refreshment.
Yeah, boy, Zoom has really become a pleasure abode.
It is for me. It's a great connection. I don't have access to association devotees. Today I'm very fortunate. Mitra is going to be staying with me this evening here and in blessing my house by his presence. And so this is very nice. So anyway, thank you all for being here and giving me your association at least this once a week. It's a good thing.
Thank you all for being here, also for um, for helping me to use my time to serve you all and Krishna. It's always a great pleasure to connect with you all. So I hope to see you all next Sunday. Have a good week. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Haribo.
Hare
Haribo.
Krishna. The pleasure abode is about to leave us.
Oh no.
That's all right. We remember and reflect.
Carry it with you.
Haribo.
Krishna.